I want to say something more about taxes. The minister likes to make a song and dance about no new taxes. However, it is important to recognize that the taxes being collected from the Jamaican people have increased dramatically under this government. Dramatically. Have a look at that table. And you will see, in fiscal year 2015-16, which was the last year of the last PNP administration, the tax collected was $411.8 billion, which was 24% of GDP. The above table, this table, shows how much more tax. This table shows how much more tax is being collected under the current JLP administration. Tax collected now has moved from 24% of GDP to 28% of GDP. A much bigger carving of the national pie is now being paid by the Jamaican people in tax under the JLP. Jamaicans are taxed much more under this JLP government. That's just a fact. And if you look over the 4 years, the 4 fiscal years, 21-22 through 24-25, Madam Speaker, and I want you to listen to this, tax collections have increased by $409 billion. That's the increase in taxes over 4 years. 419 billion of additional taxes have been collected from the Jamaican people over the last 4 years. Last week, Tuesday, the minister beat his chest, and colleagues on that side beat their desks as he announced that there will be no new taxes. I say to the people of Jamaica, do not be fooled by the hype. The government plans to collect $99 billion more in taxes this coming fiscal year than the year just ending. 99 billion more taxes from the people. $99 billion more in taxes, Madam Speaker. This is unconscionable in a time like this. We believe, Madam Speaker, that the government must rearrange the budget and find a way to give some of this $99 billion back to the people. Madam Speaker, one thing I love about the Jamaican people is their ability to identify a puppy show.
Opposition leader, Mark Golden, he said in his presentation, $99 billion more will be collected by the government this year. Now, basically, Dr. Clarke says that is not so. The figures are incorrect. Two opposite sides to what they're saying. Based on what you're seeing, who is right?
So the analysis of the opposition spokesman, parroted by the opposition leader, of looking at the average price in the fiscal policy paper and the average price outcome is very faulty as a means of commenting on the impact on government revenues. Now, clearly, I mean no harm. But you gave faulty analysis to the country, repeated it in interviews, and that's a problem. And it is my job, Madam Speaker, to explain it, to correct it and to explain it to the Jamaican people. You have to look at the average price through the year, yes, but also volume. Madam Speaker, the opposition leader points to 3.5% growth projection and states that the government plans to collect $99 billion more in taxes in this coming year. I dealt with the fallacy of that and the cynical attempt to mislead the Jamaican people in the way that is phrased. And he used that to say we could afford a $40 billion social assistance program. Well, as I explained earlier, Madam Speaker, he made a $34 billion error. Or a $34 billion misrepresentation, which shows you the attention to detail that's been employed going about your business. Because when you look at the table from the fiscal policy paper, which is here, Madam Speaker, you'll see very clearly, its table in the House is available for everyone to see, that the tax revenues changes between 22-23, and I'll read it for you, and 21-22, in 22-23 is projected at $671 billion, and in 21-22 is projected at $606 billion. When I went to school, that difference, Madam Speaker, was $65 billion, not 99. And can you imagine that? Coming here and telling the Jamaican people that tax revenues are going to be up by 99 billion, and therefore you can afford this. When in fact, you're wrong by $34 billion. Madam Speaker, they're not ready yet. Not ready yet at all. So, having made that $34 billion error, Madam Speaker, they hope to finance that splurge that he referenced by an error. And the opposition would try to obfuscate, but you check it for yourself. So because of that, the opposition leader go and play the spin ball and was caught by everybody on the offside at Silly Point. Because quite incredulously, he would want you, the Jamaican people, to believe that revenues rising by 99 billion, by the way, there's a big error with that number, but revenues rising by a certain amount is the same thing as your taxes going up by that amount. Imagine the gall, imagine the nerve to try and fool people to thinking that. Firstly, on a point of correction, Madam Speaker, tax revenues are projected to grow by 65 billion in 22-23 and not 99 billion, as erroneously and inaccurately claimed by the opposition leader. And I'll turn to this a little later. He has been all over town with the wrong figure and wrong by a big amount on a crucially important variable, misinforming the Jamaican people, strong and wrong. Them not ready, Madam Speaker. Them not ready at all. Them not ready. I mean, what can I say? He uses an inaccurate figure and engages in wrong analysis and therefore ends up with wrong solutions. And beyond that, him take Jamaican people for fool, expecting them to be confused, to confuse revenue growth with tax increase. I have a word for you. The Jamaican people are much smarter for fall for that nonsense. No, listen to the opposition's logic now. If you apply the opposition's logic, when the government revenue fell, and everybody saw that, by $75 billion in 2020, as compared to 2019, due to the pandemic, it must, according to opposition, it must have been because we reduced taxation by 75 billion. You see the ridiculousness of his logic?
It's a good time, Madam Speaker, it's a good time as we pause to see the ridiculousness of the logic.